Okay, everyone, here's the preview and injury report for the 7th round of AMA Pro Motocross this weekend at Spring Creek. Millville is known for its huge sand whoops, though surprisingly the rest of the track is not that sandy. Still, it's a really great track, and we'll let Jason Thomas discuss the track here in a minute. But for now, let's talk 450s. The storyline has not changed. Can anyone beat Jet Lawrence? And honestly, last weekend when he went down in the second moto at Redbud, that was their best chance, but still he prevailed. Of course, it was Chase Sexton's first race back, and Eli Tomac had bike troubles, and Aaron Plessinger is dealing with some health issues. Sexton looked very quick in his return, and you know these guys are not going to give up on trying to stop Jet's streak. In the 250 class, Hayden Deegan was beat for the second time this year at Redbud by Joe Shimoda. Moving on to Millville this weekend, Deegan has never won at this track. Last year it was Levi Kitchen who took the win, and Levi has been pretty solid this summer after coming back from a back injury he suffered in Supercross. Can he, Shimoda, Vial, or anyone else top the podium this weekend? Now for more on the track, here's retired pro Jason Thomas.
Spring Creek is round 7 of the Pro Motocross Championship and round 24 of the Super Motocross World Championship. And as far as the riders go, Spring Creek might be the favorite racetrack of the series. Now we're on the backside of Redbud, which I think for the fans, when you think about atmosphere, you think about the overall weekend experience being on 4th of July weekend, it's really hard to top that. But for the riders, I think Spring Creek might do it. The elevation, the type of dirt where there's just so much traction, but it's not as ruddy as what you would see at Redbud. It's a little bit more pliable. You can kind of move around a little bit. And I think this track just resonates a tiny bit more than the other tracks on the rest of the series. And that's important for the riders because there are so many tracks of the series where it feels like work on Saturdays. There's not as much enjoyment. It is a job for some of them. Spring Creek brings some of that enjoyment back. When it was a 2-day program years ago, I can remember the joy that riders would feel on Saturday, actually enjoying going out and just turning laps on the Spring Creek racetrack. And it just helps with some of the sentiment for the riders. Now, as for the track this weekend, we are expecting some rain on Friday, which will add some depth to the dirt on Saturday. So if you think about this racetrack in 2024, Hunter Lawrence said it was very physical. And what he meant by that, it was very deep. So you couldn't really relax and let the handlebars kind of do their own thing. You had to constantly be gripping the bike and force it to go where you wanted it to go because of how deep the dirt was, and it would grab you and send you different directions if you weren't careful. I think that could be the case again this year if the rains on Friday are significant. So watch for that. I've seen other reports of rain actually on Saturday too, so we'll keep an eye on that. But when you think about the racetrack, there are significant sections that really matter. The sand whoops, you have to find a flow and really get on top and carry a lot of momentum through the sand whoops, or you can lose a lot of time each and every lap. The uphills and the downhills. The uphills, you really just have to think about getting forward drive, and that all starts at the bottom of the hill. If you make a mess of the corners at the bottom of the hills, it's virtually impossible to carry a lot of speed up them, and you can get past going up the hill, which you're going to wonder, hey, is my bike slow? Why am I getting past? Well, you simply didn't get momentum at the bottom of the corner, which then carried that rider around you as you climb the hill. So you have to get the corners right at the bottom of the hills, and that all comes with making one smooth arc and carrying momentum through them, which is going to give you speed on the exit. The last part of that is on the descents. There are a lot of big downhills. You think about Mount St. Martin. There are several other downhills a lot around the rest of the racetrack. You have to be brave. You have to have your motorcycle set up where you can accelerate down these hills and trust that rear end to not come up in big braking bumps down the hills, which is then going to translate in a lot of speed coming down. A lot of riders are going to try to make passes in the braking zones coming down these hills, and it's going to be a testament to whose bikes work really well and who is brave enough to get off the brakes and let that motorcycle work coming into some of these corners. So watch for those significant areas. And the last part of this is the start. The start will be critically important. Similar to Redbud, a lot of these corners funnel back to the inside at the bottom of hills, which makes passing difficult. You can see riders get stuck behind other riders if they're cognizant about the insides and protecting where they need to protect. You'll hear James Stewart talk about this a lot. If you know where the passing zones are, you can make sure that you're on your A game in those sections and block the riders behind you, and then you can rest in some of the other sections where passing is unlikely. So that's it for Spring Creek, one of the best racetracks on the circuit. Let's pray for decent weather. It is supposed to be a little bit cooler than Redbud, which I'm sure the riders and the spectators will enjoy.
Thanks, JT. Now for the injury report brought to you by Leatt. In the 450 class, leg injuries are trending as Dylan Ferrandis, Grant Harlan, and Derek Kelly are all out with leg injuries. Freddie Noren is banged up, and he will sit this weekend out. Aaron Plessinger is dealing with an illness. He could not compete in the second moto at Redbud, but he will line back up at Spring Creek. And finally, Cooper Webb just announced he is out with a knee injury he suffered at Redbud. He hopes to return for the SMX playoffs, but this is a big boost for Justin Cooper, who could take over the SMX points lead this weekend. In the 250 class, Max Anstey is out with a broken leg, Julian Beaumer is still suffering the effects of a crash at High Point and has decided to sit out for a couple of races to rest up. Daxton Bennick and Pierce Brown are both still out with back injuries. Casey Cochran is out with a shoulder injury sustained in qualifying at Southwick, and Trevor Cullup. He is out with a broken femur and other complications, so please go to roadtorecovery.com to help out Trevor. Now, Cole Davies is out with a broken arm still. Evan Ferry is out with an Achilles injury. Chance Hymas is out with an ACL. Ty Masterpool, he's out with a hand injury sustained in a practice crash right before Redbud. Cameron McAdoo is still out with a knee injury. Caden Minear is out with a thumb injury. Carson Mumford is out with an ankle injury. Jet Reynolds has a broken leg, so he is out. Styles Robertson is out with a nagging wrist injury. Nick Romano is out with a shoulder injury. And finally, Gavin Towers is out with an ACL injury. That's it for the preview and injury report for Spring Creek this Saturday, where you can watch all of the action, including the second qualifying sessions, live on Peacock. It looks like we're in for good weather, and the Spring Creek track allows for great racing. And there's one last thing you'll want to check out this weekend. Jeremy Martin, whose parents actually own the track, will be lining up for the last time this weekend before he retires. How will he and the rest of the field fare in the Sand Whips? You'll just have to tune in on Saturday to find out.